Since the trade deadline just passed, and since I haven't done it this year yet, now is the perfect time to look at and rank the top 10 starting fives in the NBA today. There's a lot of great ones this year, and the deadline only made some even better. And now I could just easily rank these based on their NBA standing at this current moment, and we will take that into consideration, but we're gonna try to just rely more on how good these fives look on paper, especially the ones with new additions that we haven't fully gotten to see yet. And a quick shout out to two teams that didn't make the top 10, the Warriors and the Pelicans. The Warriors just as overmentioned because they have Steph, but besides that, they're just hard to watch. This setup of their team this year with Kelly Oubre and Andrew Wiggins, and Draymond thinking he needs to be a passer on a team that desperately needs more offense, is just bad. And the Pelicans deserve a mention because Lonzo Bledsoe, Ingram, Zion, and Steven Adams makes up a really great lineup on paper, but they haven't been playing all that great, so end up just outside the top 10. Number 10 though goes to the Boston Celtics for Kemba Walker, Marcus Smart, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Robert Williams. And the Celtics have a good blend of offense and defense. They have the defense from Smart, Brown, and some from Williams, and offense from Kemba, Jaylen, and Jason. There's no denying though that this team's been a letdown so far this season. They're sitting at 500 right now, thanks to injuries, their lack of big men, and inconsistency from Kemba Walker. But they make the video because on paper, there's a lot of talent here. 2 real stars and a somewhat near star, and a star defender. I don't think this team has what it takes to go to the next level, but I like what they bring in terms of having a little bit of everything. Number 9, the Phoenix Suns with Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Jay Crowder, and DeAndre Ayton. Don't get me wrong, I love the Phoenix Suns this year, and me putting them at 9 is no disrespect to them. They're sitting at 2nd in the West right now, with a big part of that being because this 5 is a perfect combination. They got the star leader with Chris, the scorer in Devin Booker, the defense with Bridges, the toughness of Crowder, and the big man in DeAndre Ayton. There really isn't much you could do with this team to make them that much better, and I'm surprised Chris isn't more in the MVP race. Phoenix finished 10th in the West last year, and after adding him, they're now 2nd. That's the definition of an MVP, and the only reason they don't rank higher is because we gotta see more from DeAndre Ayton. We need him to step up, and because the teams ahead have a little bit more star power and there's a lot of competition. Number 8, the Denver Nuggets with Jamal Murray, Will Barton, Michael Porter Jr., Aaron Gordon, and Nikola Jokic. Now I love the addition of Aaron Gordon by Denver to try and replace him in Jeremy Grant's role from last year, and he's gonna excel there and add some much needed defense to their starting 5. They've needed a guy that could step up and guard the other team's best player through multiple positions, and him doing that will make up for his limited offense. Now I don't love Will Barton in this lineup, but we can deal with that when Jokic is playing like an MVP, almost averaging a 27 point per game triple-double. All 5 of these guys are averaging 37+% from 3, and Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray are both having career years. Their bench still needs work, Bol still needs more playing time, but besides that, I got no complaints here. Number 7, the Bucks with Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Chris Middleton, Giannis, and Brook Lopez. Milwaukee's looking good this year, and this is probably the best starting 5 we've seen from this team in the Giannis era. Drew's been a huge improvement here, and Chris Middleton stepped up big time. Stat-wise, nothing's changed for him, but he's definitely developed as a player. Sadly though, this team's still gonna come up short. It's still basically the same team, and I haven't seen anything from them that makes me believe they've taken things to the next level. And they should have tried to trade Brook Lopez or something. He's been a good role player for them, but I think it's been time for them to change things up at center. But I still do like these guys together. Great blend of offense, defense, and shooting all around. I just don't think they have what it takes, which is why they don't rank any higher for me. Number 6, we got the Portland Trailblazers with Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, the newly added Norman Powell, Robert Covington, and Yusuf Nurkic. And especially now, this is one of my personal favorite starting 5s in the NBA. And a ton of guys are playing like MVPs this year, but I don't know that anyone deserves it more than Damian Lillard. He's averaging 30 and 8 and led a team full of injuries to one of the better records in the league. If CJ McCollum can get back to averaging the 27 a game that he was before his injury, that's going to be huge. And they replaced Derrick Jones Jr. in the starting lineup with Norman Powell, who's going to give them 20 a game after the Gary Trent Jr. trade. They'll miss his scoring off the bench, but Powell's going to more than make up for it. Then Covington as a starter couldn't be any better. An excellent defender that this team desperately needed because no one else in their 5 is really too great on that end. And now that Nurkic is back, look out for them to start seriously climbing the standings. Number 5, the 76ers, who have Seth Curry, Danny Green, Ben Simmons, Tobias Harris, and Joel Embiid. And if there was ever a year the 76ers were going to win a championship, it would be this one. Too bad the Nets won't let that happen now, but we'll get to that. As for this team though, the problem with them for a while was that they always needed more shooting. And now everyone in this lineup besides Simmons is shooting over 40% from 3, which is insane. It's giving them the spacing they desperately needed, and it doesn't get too much better than this lineup. Green, Simmons, and Embiid all bring top tier defense, and everyone has potential on offense. Tobias Harris may still be overpaid, but that doesn't mean he's not an excellent third option, because he is, and he's putting up over 20 a game. Combine all that with Simmons sharing the ball, playing alongside another point guard, and Embiid finally playing like a true MVP, and this team's the real deal. And the fact that they're only number 5 shows you how good the rest of the league has been. For number 4 though, we had to give it to the Utah Jazz, with Mike Conley, Donovan Mitchell, Bojan Bogdanovic, Royce O'Neal, and Rudy Gobert. And these guys are the perfect example of team chemistry in every sense of it. There are zero actual weaknesses here. They have offense, defense, shooting, rim protection, leadership, inside scoring, outside scoring, and perimeter defense. And not only that, but in terms of the mental side of things, every player knows their role, they know their strengths and their weaknesses, and the fact that they've all bought into the system and trust each other is really what's helped them to the best record in the league this year. Now, I'm not saying they're going to win the title. Chances are they're probably not, but you still gotta give credit where it's due. But number 3 has a little bit of a better chance at winning, since they are the reigning champions in the Los Angeles Lakers, with Dennis Schroeder, KCP, LeBron James, Anthony Davis, and Andre Drummond. And as if this Lakers team, the defending champs, couldn't get any better. But then they go and add Drummond to replace Marc Gasol in this lineup, which is huge. The Davis-Drummond frontcourt is now the most dominant in the league, and you combine that with the improvement at point guard in Schroeder compared to last year, and this team's scary. And technically, since they're the defending champs and have only gotten better, you would think they should rank at number 1, but a couple other teams have also gotten much better, like number 2 in the Clippers, because of Rajon Rondo, Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Nicholas Batum, and Serge Ibaka. After the letdown in last year's playoffs, I'm sure not too many people would bet money on the Clippers. I know I wouldn't. But I really love the addition of Rondo, and I don't know how they were able to pull off a trade of him for Lou Williams. I guess the Hawks just want to bring in a bunch of different locker room leaders to teach all their young guys, and they had gotten enough out of Rondo, so they rotated him out for Lou, which I guess makes sense. But it gives this team the help at point guard they desperately needed, and playoff Rondo should help them avoid the disaster that last year was. I've said it a bunch already, this team and that team have a great blend of offense and defense, but I don't think there's any better than this Clippers squad. Every single player here is capable of playing top tier defense, which is really unheard of, where all 5 players can effectively step up and guard their man with no problem. And 4 out of the 5 of them can switch onto any other position, so that combined with their offense really makes them elite. Then finally, of course, what you've all been waiting for, number 1 is the Brooklyn Nets. Now with Kyrie Irving, James Harden, Kevin Durant, Blake Griffin, and LaMarcus Aldridge. Now I don't know if this will be their actual lineup, I don't know if they'll really move Joe Harris to the bench, but if they do, this is their potential starting 5. And it's the reason none of what I said really matters about any of the other teams, because the season's basically over. How did one of the best super teams we've ever seen add Blake Griffin and LaMarcus Aldridge on minimum deals through buyouts? This is by far the most talented and overpowered starting lineup in NBA history. And just like the Golden State Warriors a couple years ago, this is a confirmed championship for the Nets. There's no point of continuing the season, because if everyone's healthy, this team will win the title. It's not like, oh, maybe they'll fail, things might not work out. If they're all healthy, this team is gonna win. Harden was already playing like an MVP without Kevin Durant, so now adding him and 2 former All-Stars, and it's really just unfair. Let's all just enjoy the rest of the season though. We already know the end result, but let's act like we don't. If you did enjoy this video though, drop a like, comment and let me know, subscribe for all my future videos, and I'm out.